Welcome everybody and get ready for another Q&A Social Security today. I am attorney Anthony Reeves and it's my pleasure to have you here. And I want to thank all those individuals who have taken it upon themselves to provide me comments, questions, and feedback with regards to these videos I've been providing. Couple of things. I'd like to start acknowledging people when you ask me questions. So when you send me a comment or if you send me a message asking for me to talk about something, if you just give your first name, you don't have to give your full name and where you're at. So this way I can make sure I give proper credit to the particular question, and more importantly, when you come back to look to see whether I've answered your question, if it's Bob in Laguna Beach or Jill in Jersey City, New Jersey, I can make sure that I put that information underneath the video and I make sure that you know that I addressed your questions. Had a few questions last week, so let's go ahead and get cracking. Someone asked a question about I got approved for SSI, waited about 6 months, and then finally got approved. But does this mean I also get disability, or do I have to still wait for that? All right, let's go ahead and get into this real quick. Most people fail to realize that Social Security has a variety of disability programs. So a lot of times people think, well, if I'm applying for this, am I getting this? SSI, or what we call Supplemental Security Income, is a disability program under Social Security. So if you have been approved for SSI, you have been in essence approved for disability. Now, when most people think about disability, they think about the insured workers program of it, or we call disability insurance benefits, and that's or DIB. If you apply, when you're applying for Social Security disability, the thing that most people fail to realize is they're going to have you apply for everything they deem that you're eligible for. So if they determine that based on your financial status you're eligible for SSI, you're going to be applying for SSI. If they deem based on the amount of work you've paid into the system you're eligible as an insured worker, you'll also be applied for DIB. Claims usually fall, and these are the more common claims that you probably run across, is either going to be SSI only, DIB only, or concurrent, which means it's both. So to answer your question, let's assume that you had a concurrent application. If they determined that you were disabled for both programs, they process the SSI portion first. Then the information they get for processing the SSI, meaning after they found you disabled, they'll do a resource interview to look at how much money you got coming in, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, cars, homes, all that good jazz. Then they send it up to the payment center to calculate your insurance benefits portion of your application. What you need to do is, if you're not sure what program you fall under, is you need to call Social Security and say, hey, I've been found disabled. Which programs am I eligible for? And they'll tell you if it's just SSI only, or if it's DIB only, or if it's concurrent. So I hope that answers your question. Now, next question that I have focuses on school. Is going to school going to affect how they view your disability? And do these people have, if so many others have recent work skills and not been disabled? A person disabled is obviously a bigger risk to them. Does the government give an incentive to hire these types of people? Here's where it gets tricky. And I thank that question because every time I talk about education, I tell people it really depends. That's the stock answer most attorneys give. It depends. First and foremost, if you're a disabled child, let's say you're found disabled at 13, 14, you're in school already. At some particular point, people ask the question, what happens if you get to a point, like maybe 18 or 19, and you're still in school? There are some situations where Social Security will allow for the disability benefits to continue because you're still considered a disabled child. But now let's stop for a second. Let's say that you're a child, your disability stops. You go to work, but then you apply for disability. You get disability again, and then you decide to go back to school. How is that going to affect your case? Good question. Well, in terms of education, Social Security looks at education at three levels: marginal, which I believe is less than a ninth grade education; less than high school, which is 9 through 12; high school education, and more. And what education does is education plays a crucial role in what types of skills you may have acquired. For instance, if you have, let's say that you've got, some medical conditions like a bad back, bad knee, and so forth, and you go back to college and you get a degree in accounting. Well, those skills, those math skills, can be utilized in any types of work that requires the calculations of money. So those things come into play. So for purposes of education, those things are what Social Security is going to want to know to determine whether or not your educational level provides you additional skills. Now, this is where a lot of people kind of lose track. When you're between the ages of 18 and like 49, education is not overly crucial. Here's what I mean by this. Social Security has medical vocational guidelines that they utilize in determining whether or not individuals can return to certain block types of work. If you are considered a younger individual, which is 18 to 49, the regulations in terms of vocational guidelines are really not very helpful to you. Because the idea is that as a younger worker, it's presumed that there's going to be work out there that you should be able to do, unless you are unable to perform even sedentary work, which is a sit down job or work that requires you to have, you know, simple work in terms of concentration level, things of that nature. So, to answer your question, education does have an impact on your case for purposes of disability, but it all is relative to where you are in the process. Meaning, are you a child? Are you a younger individual? Are you closely approaching advanced age, which is 50 to 54? Advanced age, 55 to 59, or closely approaching a retirement age, which is 60 to 64. So all of those things are kept into play. Interestingly enough, and this is the one thing I tell people all the time, and this is the one thing you'll hear a lot of representatives say, you're going to get more money working than you will Social Security disability benefits. Social Security fully expects that at some point in time during the process, I mean during you're receiving a disability, that you're going to probably test the market, or you're going to probably think about trying to do things that's going to ensure that you re-enter back into the workforce. Trust me, that's usually going to be your best outcome as opposed to getting $700, $800 a month for the rest of your life. So, will education play a role? Absolutely. Does the government say to themselves, well, this person is going to school, so we're going to cut them out according to the fact that they're going to school? It's all relative to what their medical condition is, what their age is at the time, and how all of this affects their ability to go back to work. Your focus is two things when we're looking at situations like this. Education as an adult plays a crucial role in the skills that you acquire, and it all is relative to whether or not your medical conditions, along with your age, education, and work background, is there any work you can go back to doing at all. Social Security is an all or nothing beast, people. Keep that in the back of your mind. Again, thank you very much for hitting me up here. You can always visit me at www.reevesfirm.com, or you can check me out at www.legalbeat.anthonyreeves.com. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and I hope this provided you some good information on Q&A Social Security Disability Today.